Houston Nutt has been in touch with Arkansas's brass about the head coaching vacancy at Arkansas. We got to talk about it after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You got to help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And today, I want to talk about Houston Nutt, who went on Arkansas Sports Talk Radio to say he had been contacted by Jon Fagg at the University of Arkansas about the head coaching vacancy at Arkansas. Now, he didn't go as far as to say that they asked him about whether or not he would be interested in being the head coach, but he did say, hey, look, preliminary discussions, and Houston Nutt very much cares about the University of Arkansas and has tremendous ties to Razorback football. And I kind of want to get into this because I understand there's a contingent of Arkansas sports fan that really wants Houston Dale Nutt to be back at Fayetteville coaching the Razorbacks, but I'm not so certain that that's a good idea, more for Nutt than it is for Arkansas, but I'm going to unpack this, all right, because this goes back to my heyday in high school because 2006 Arkansas football was really good, okay? Talking about Mitch Mustain being the quarterback, going 8-0 as starter, Darren McFadden as a runner-up that year for the Heisman Trophy, and then it kind of fell apart there toward the end, even as Arkansas in 07 beats a number 1 ranked LSU team in triple overtime. Houston Nutt, Darren McFadden give an epic post-game speech. It was a good season. The last 2 years there, 06, 07, some of the best of Houston Nutt's entire career. But then January 07, Mitch Mustain decides to transfer to USC. Wait a second. The all-world 5-star quarterback that was playing for Gus Malzahn, who was offensive coordinator at Springdale, grew up in Arkansas, transfers to USC? What? How? Why? What happened? Now, so, we go back a little bit further. We see that there was, news story where Mitch Mustain was kind of making fun of his coach, calling him a dork, talking about the antiquated offense they ran, yada, right? I get it. Fine. Whatever. Malzahn was running this putt. We throw deep, we throw long, we run power spread offense that Mitch Mustain was much more comfortable with. And I think all that was fine. I think Nutt handled it well. I thought that it was really neither here nor there, but apparently I was wrong, or not I was wrong. I was in the minority. This is a woman by the name of Therese Pruitt, and she decided to take umbrage with what Mitch Mustain had said. And she wrote him a really long email where she called him some really terrible things. One of those was a homophobic slur that we do not need to mention. And, well, it came out that she sent it to his email and didn't sit so well with one guy in particular, a fellow by the name of Thomas McAfee. And he would play a pivotal role in Houston Nutt and the end of the Nutt era at Arkansas. What had happened was McAfee saw this letter that Pruitt had sent to Mustain and wanted to know if Nutt knew about it and whether or not it played a role and whether or not Mitch Mustain decided to transfer out. So he sent a FOIA request to the University of Arkansas Athletic Department. FOIA request. Freedom of Information Act. In a public university, you can write a letter via the Open Records Act, or the Open Records Act as it acts in your state, requesting documents related to your public service officials, of which the head coach at Arkansas, like the head coach at Oklahoma, is one of them. And in this particular case, he asked for correspondence between Mustain, Pruitt, so forth, so on, and basically records from Houston Nutt and his phone. So what this man got was a box of over 500 pages of Houston Nutt's text messages, but it wasn't necessarily text messages to Mitch Mustain or what they were talking about. It was over 2,100 to another party news anchor locally where, well, he had talked about some stuff, and Thomas McAfee didn't stop there. He decided that it was within his purview to somehow turn this over to Arkansas Board of Trustees. And then we have a scandal of sorts, and it was just weird, right? So now you got Houston Nutt going from basically having his phone investigated by vigilantes on message boards. And I found all of this kind of untoward at the time, but also just entertaining because we saw football fans will do football fan type stuff, right? And this is one of those things in which you're probably taking it a little too far as a fan of Arkansas Razorbacks football. In the same way that we saw folks at Tennessee picketing Tennessee wanting to hire Greg Schiano. In the same way that we saw Harvey Updike poisoning Toomer's trees. Don't do that kind of stuff. Don't be the guy going up to the 5-star recruit begging him to go to your university. But we have those people out there, in which Arkansas has had this guy in particular, and it's fair share because Dana Altman tried to take the job as the head coach men's basketball program and quickly turned around and said, nope, can't do this. People already want to know what my cell phone number is. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to Oregon, and I'm going to turn that into a top 25 power, and they are, right? I don't know that this is a thing that Houston Nutt would even want to go back into, man, but apparently, he loves Arkansas Razorbacks football, and I don't blame him. I mean, if I grew up around it, like I grew up around Oklahoma, like I grew up around, I would probably feel the same way. But I also think that there are other guys on this list that they are considering to say, again, I don't know that they're considering Houston Nutt any more than I know that they're considering Mike Norvell at Memphis, Mike Leach at Washington State, Justin Fuente at Va Tech, and so forth and so on. I do know this, though. I get that Les Miles is doing an outstanding job at Kansas so far. I get that Mac Brown is doing an outstanding job at North Carolina so far. I get that Houston has been working at CBS as an analyst for some time, in which he's been really good, quite honestly. I don't know that this is a headache that you want, especially after what happened at Ole Miss, right? He goes to Ole Miss, has a couple of good years, has a couple of bad years, and all of a sudden we have another thing for which Houston Nutt is involved in. I think that Houston Nutt's a good football coach, and I think that if he wants another opportunity to coach football in Arkansas is it. I just don't know that this is the place for this to be, because we're all going to talk about this thing all over again. Do you want this? I mean, because my first question was a joke, but I think it bears mentioning. What's Thomas McAfee doing? Right? Because that was also a guy that people were actually threatening. Like, he got a phone call where somebody said, did you notice your flower bed was dying? Right? And then went after his family because he did this thing where he requested this information and turned it over to the Board of Trustees, and they lost one of their better head coaches in Arkansas football history, right? I don't think it was, all of this was just weird, right? Right down to how Nutt decided to resign following the 2007 season and how he felt he was treated, or might have felt he was treated at the time. It's all really fascinating stuff, and I really love to get your comments below about what this is going on, or just what you think about all of this. Do you want Houston Dale Nutt back? Do you want to go for a younger guy? Because I get that there are some people that might believe perhaps the thing for Arkansas to do is to go get a younger coach, to go get a younger up-and-coming assistant, and just let them build up this program over the next couple of years, because it's going to take at least 2 years to get you back to where you want to be. But I also think you're in the SEC West, and that's not a bad thing. You can lose 3 games and still be a top 15 team. Just look at Auburn. Right? We could see that Ole Miss was pretty quickly turned around, and you can go recruit to Ole Miss. And if you can recruit to Arkansas, you can doggone sure recruit to Fayetteville. I think it's a good job for the right person. I think that the right person's also going to have to put up with some things that, quite frankly, you don't have to put up in bigger markets. I mean, the way that they love Arkansas football is the way that they love Nebraska football, is the way that we love Oklahoma football, because those are the Oklahoma has an NBA, is an open. Yes, they have the Oklahoma City Thunder, so it's an NBA state now. Fayetteville State ain't got that. Arkansas ain't got that. It's Fayetteville, it's Little Rock, and it's not a whole hell of a lot else, right? In Nebraska, it's Lincoln and Omaha, and it's not a whole hell of a lot else. It's just different, and you need somebody who understands that. And I think Fuente is quietly a good dude to start looking at, but after what he's doing at Va Tech, he might not want to leave, even as he's losing his defensive coordinator. He knows the area, though, had a 10-3 season at Memphis, and grew up in Tulsa, was a Union quarterback, right? He understands, went to Oklahoma. I think Norvell, playing college football at Central Arkansas, he would understand. I think that's a good hire. I think that it's interesting that you would reach out to Houston Nutt in the first place and ask his perspective and what he knows, because quite honestly, that dude, I'm sure of this, talks to a lot of people and a lot of coaches, so he would know about folks that he thinks would be good for the job. Maybe he thinks he's the guy for the job, maybe not. But I think that blowing this thing out of proportion, where you're talking about Jon Fagg having a conversation with Houston Nutt and Houston Nutt being in line to be the next head coach, is just That's not where it is right now. Could get there. Just I don't think that's where it is right now. And I don't know that Houston tried to get this job through the media, but it certainly feels like if you go on a sports talk show in Little Rock, Arkansas, that's what you're trying to do. I can't wait to see how this turns out. I wish Houston the best. If he wants to get the job and he's stumping for the job, goodness knows, go get the job. But I would not be surprised to find out that this does not go to plan. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.